And finally tonight, we look deeper at the other angles surrounding the global pandemic that is the Ebola outbreaks of 2014. First off, it's important to understand that we have a long history, not just here in the U.S., but with other Western governments, including the Japanese, of secret, lethal, chemical, biological, and radiological testing on populations. So governments have been caught producing weaponized pathogens, both bacterial and viral, and releasing them on their own populations, not just populations that they're having wars with. And this goes to really the whole mad scientist type system that we've seen pop up in the psychology of scientific elites throughout history. This is not the exception. This is the rule, that whether it was the Soviets or the Japanese or the communist Chinese or the imperial Chinese or the South Africans or the Mexican government or the U.S. government, they're constantly testing lethal pathogens on their own populations and claiming it's for resource purposes. The general population is seen as animals or as slaves. So this is part of that larger debate. There's a lot of evidence linking the development of Ebola, and when it first began to show up on the scenes in the last 40 years, to Western bioweapons laboratories that were on the Gold Coast, the western coast of Africa. And then by 2002, tens of billions of dollars were spent for a program called BioShield, and under the cover of creating cures for biological weapons or treatments, they built bioweapons labs all over the United States, including in populated areas, despite protest, like at the University of Texas in Galveston, right where hurricanes hit, and didn't even put the deadly pathogens in containment facilities underground. They did it in level 2 facilities. That's just like bringing Ebola-infected patients to general hospitals. It is a crime. So the question is, why are they so reckless? Now we see two different members of the medical community who are U.S. citizens being brought back to a major university hospital in Atlanta, not in a level 3 or 4 bioweapons lab where it might be able to be contained, but just under plastic inside of a regular medical facility with part of a wing sealed off. These hospitals can't even control flesh-eating bacteria, MRSA, drug-resistant strep, and other things. So they certainly can't contain Ebola. And about 2 years ago, top scientists came out, and I'm going to show you some of these articles coming up, and said, look, Ebola appears to be actually airborne. Now, it's not hardy airborne. It doesn't last a long time in the air, but it does appear in monkey and pig studies to be transferable between different species, but also between the same species. And Ebola appears to be getting stronger and to be mutating. So why is our government shipping people into the U.S. that have Ebola and who can spread it? Now, Ebola can take a while to show up too, so it's perfect to infect somebody and then bring them in if you want to spread it. And even if only a few hundred people died in the U.S. from Ebola, and they think as many as 33,000 could be infected worldwide right now, around 1,000 deaths. They know of thousands that are infected, but over 30,000 they believe, with the models that have come in contact with it, they believe that it could easily end up breaking out here in the U.S. And just the hype and the fear from that would be crippling for the economy, but would allow Homeland Security and other globalist control systems to clamp down medical-wise and have forced inoculations and things and bring another level of tyranny to the United States like 9/11 did. Now let's look at the big issue. Al-Qaeda is real, IS is real, ISIS is real, and the globalists running our government and NATO have been giving them chemical weapons to attack Syria, have been giving them the precursors of biological weapons, so that they can be able to basically produce them. Just like our own government after 2001 even was still giving Saddam Hussein things like anthrax. Look that up. So if they ever wanted to release it and blame him, they could say that he had it. So here's the latest leaked Border Patrol high-level report, shows entire world exploiting open U.S. border. But in the report, And Drudge pointed this out today, showed at Infowars.com. You notice that of the thousands, 874 that came in from Nigeria alone and got caught, they think they only catch a fraction, so it's actually more than 874. People coming in from Nigeria, Sierra Leone, and countless other areas. Just 874 from one country alone in the last year that they caught. And here's our headline breaking it down. Ebola may have already crossed border, secret Border Patrol report shows. There's no doubt feds are shipping illegals from Ebola-hit countries across the U.S. at taxpayer expense. CDC concerned about airborne transmission of Ebola virus, Infowars.com. And our report links to the CDC and to mainline medical journals that were saying 2 years ago it appears to now be airborne. Did you hear that? In fact, here's the article from 2 years ago. From pigs to monkeys, Ebola goes airborne. And this report from healthmap.org gives all the links to the CDC and other studies and statements on that front. Now, doctors that have come in from Africa that were even around Ebola have been self-quarantining, and they've been basically asking, Zero Hedge has an article out on it, why weren't we quarantined to begin with? That's federal law. So the issue here, there's a lot of issues, but one of the big issues here is why aren't they doing normal quarantine procedures on doctors that were treating people that are coming back? Why did they fly back these Ebola patients and just put them into a hospital full of people, granted on their own part of a wing? Why are they being so reckless? Do they want to be blamed if it breaks out? What's the motive there? Or do they want plausible deniability when they actually release Ebola to bring in basically martial law? We've already seen the border drop. We've already seen Al-Qaeda funded to kill 300,000 plus people called ISIS as the new branding name to confuse the public. We've already seen the dollar being devalued. We've already seen Fast and Furious and Benghazi and other false flags. The sky is literally the limit. And now Obama has come out, we'll play a clip of it, and said, hey, I will decide about amnesty by the end of summer in the next 3-4 weeks. He will decide, not Congress, who's already voted and said no. So he's already involved in open borders by executive fiat. It's called dictatorship. So why not go further with guns or anything else for that matter? Here's that clip.
While I will continue to push House Republicans to drop the excuses and act, and I hope their constituents will too, America cannot wait forever for them to act. And that's why today I'm beginning a new effort to fix as much of our immigration system as I can on my own, without Congress.
I have said over and over again that they are staging crises and exacerbating them. Al-Qaeda is real, but they're being funded by the West so they can take our liberties. Just like Katrina, they ordered a stand down of the local police and military, caused a disaster to be much worse. FEMA then demanded double the funding for disasters and got it. Government in the past would get in trouble for screw-ups. Now they get more power out of screw-ups, and since they became unaccountable and get rewarded for things getting worse, they're making things worse by design to get more control. They don't let a good crisis go to waste. Whether it's Ebola, whether it's the border collapsing, whether it's drug-resistant TB, you name it. And they came out this week again and announced homegrown Tea Party, libertarian gun owners, veterans are the #1 terror threat, and they believe we're going to start blowing stuff up. Well, what they're saying is we're going to stage stuff and blame it on our only opposition, a group that still understands what America is all about and who wants stability and rule of law and freedom. We're going to set them up like we've set everybody else up. What you're witnessing is the conquering of America. What you're witnessing is the takeover if we let them do it. The good news is patriots for more than 60 years have known of this globalist plan. They've been proven right over and over again. Most of them were former military, CIA, FBI, you name it. The John Birch Society that I'm not a part of, but that I really respect because their information has been about 100% on. And Ron Paul has been right. I have been right. Countless others have been right. This is happening. The question is, what are you going to do about it? Because you are the solution. Getting involved, saying no, pointing out the elephant in the room. That's it for this edition of InfoWars Nightly News. Great job to the crew and David Knight that was sitting in here just earlier. Me and David might go. Well, he doesn't drink, but we may go out and have dinner or something. Who knows? And Travis, his son's over there running things, doing a great job as well. Until tomorrow night, Lord willing, we'll be back here. Don't take the free independent media for granted. Promote it. Promote open free internet, or we will lose it. This is a critical time in history, folks. And don't forget, if you're watching, you are the resistance. The facts are in. The studies are legion. Sodium fluoride and other toxic members of the fluoride family are devastating the health and cognitive ability of the American people. I am extremely excited to announce the exclusive InfoWars Life Fluoride Shield formulation, fusing 6 of the best documented ingredients from around the world to help the body remove not just toxic fluoride residues from the body, but a whole host of toxic substances. Secure your Fluoride Shield at InfoWarsLife.com today.
You are watching the InfoWars Nightly News, which airs 7 p.m. Central at InfoWarsNews.com. Members can share their passcodes with up to 11 other people, and your support is helping us defend liberty worldwide.